Hi guys, Subhash here with this cat. We're here because we're checking out this car. This is the 2020 Proton X70, locally produced for the first time. The models that we got before, the one we did in our 360 sit around, that was a CBU unit from the factory in China. This is made in Tanjung Malim. I think Proton spent something like 1.2 billion ringgit redoing their plant. So let's start with what's new on the CKD model. So of course the easiest way to tell this apart is to look at the logo. This is the new Proton logo. It's in a circle instead of being in like a shield shaped thing. Yeah, people say Thundercats, some people say Maybank. I mean, it'll grow on you, I suppose. So it's fitting that we've got like two cats here with us. Maybe I'll ask them their opinion of the logo later. Besides that, there's not an easy way to tell this new X70 from the old one. There's a logo on the front, there's the new logo on the sides, and just like in the 360 video, we showed how this logo didn't really match any of the colors on the rim. But yeah, that's another way you can tell it apart from the CBU X70. From the rear, there's no real way you can aesthetically tell it apart from the previous one. I guess one way, which is not really a way, is you will not see any models with AWD written on the back because there is no executive all-wheel drive variant. So now the order is a standard model with the 17-inch rims, and then the executive model with the 18-inch rims and more equipment, and then premium with the 19-inch rims with even more equipment, and then Premium X, which is what we have here. And the only thing that the X adds is the sunroof. Premium X and Premium, the only difference is the sunroof. So some people complained about the heat getting through, because even if you tint this maximum, you're still opening up such a big space for sunlight to come in. Some people just don't want a sunroof, but they want the premium spec. So now let's move on to more equipment changes and things like that. One of the things users wanted really badly on the X70 is a power tailgate. There were a lot of aftermarket accessories that did that, but now, yeah, we now have a power tailgate. You can open it with a kick functionality. It doesn't close with the kick. It only closes with this button, or I think you can physically pull it down. Yeah, if you're like a strong person. You can push that button to open it or close it. I think it closes as well. Yeah, there you go. The key fob has a trunk opening button. Maybe the car needs to be off. There should be a button inside as well. Yeah, there you go. There's your button. You can program it to stop here. Oh no. You can program it to stop around here. I think with a long press, but you know, there you go. And it should stop a little bit lower. There you go. So just now it opened up all the way here. Now it opens up here. Yeah. Besides that, the boot is the same. There's still like a subwoofer assembly at the back. The rim size looks unchanged from before. Still the same materials being used. Still the same interesting fiber compressed material that we mentioned in the 360 sit around. So now let's show you what's new in the back seat. So the difference here is in a reclining seat. The X70's rear seats can stop up here or can recline slightly down here. There is a bit of a difference. I'll try to show you the difference between maximum recline and minimum recline on this side. So this is the difference. It's not much, something like few degrees, less than 10 degrees maybe. Next thing that is new, this thing. I'll peel off the sticker. Maybe I should get into the gearbox first. Yeah, I'll get into the gearbox first. So this is the new engine cover designed by Proton. I mean, it is a transverse engine, so the cylinders are lined up like this, and you get the gearbox, I think, somewhere here. But for some reason they've decided to put this longitudinal engine cover to indicate that, you know, you have cylinders like this. Why? Anyway, it's not a big deal. It doesn't affect anything at all. All this is relatively unchanged. If it's changed, I can't tell. Let's see if the battery is still made in China. It's a Camel battery. Okay, so the Camel battery is new. Manufactured in Malaysia, in Kuantan. Hey, Is this why Proton brought us to Kuantan? I don't know, I don't think so, but it's good to see that, you know, they're using local parts. Anyway, the reason why I wanted to show you this whole thing is the gearbox is new. So this new gearbox is a Volvo designed 7-speed dual clutch unit. It's a wet clutch type, so it should be better in the long run in terms of wear and tear. Wet clutches tend to be better lubricated. These cats are still here, that's nice. Anyway, this engine now produces 300 Newton meters of torque. And with this new 7-speed dual clutch, the efficiency has increased also. So 0 to 100 is done almost a second faster, if not a whole second faster than before. Very impressive. So with the new gearbox, we get a new gear selector. The previous X70 had like a leather shift boot cover, very traditional looking selector, and that gear selector before had a cable linkage to the actual gearbox. So whatever you shift here, there would be a cable that linked it to the gearbox, which would, you know, actuate the automatic gearbox to tell it what gear you want. This one, there are no cables whatsoever. It's all digital. None of this has been done by Proton. This is all part of the Geely Boyue facelift. So Geely and Volvo did all this work, tuning the gearbox, tuning the engine, giving it more power. In fact, a lot of all the extra stuff was done by Geely. Proton didn't do much. Maybe they did the power tailgate integration, but most likely that is sourced from Geely as well. So this gearbox, I'll start the engine and show you how it works. Still the same animation as before. Don't think anything has changed here. So as you can see, it goes up and down. It doesn't really stay in any position except for the center. So even when you're up in R, you can keep going up. If you're down in drive, you can keep going down. Doesn't really change anything unless there is somewhere for it to go. Down for drive, up for neutral. If you want to go in reverse, you press the button here, like a trigger, you push it up, then it goes in reverse. Activates the 360 camera, which is still one of the best camera units in this price point. This is in the previous model as well, nothing has changed. Parking, you just press the button. Again, drive, and then manual mode, down and up. So Mazda still is the only SUV that gets this right. Up should be down, down should be up. Manufacturers, you're still getting this wrong, but it's not a big deal because it's an SUV anyway, right? Oh, that's weird. So unlike a lot of gear selectors that do this whole drive-by-wire mechanism, there's one tiny drawback here. I think BMW has sorted this out. Honda doesn't even bother doing the manual shifting on the selector. But you see, this is what happens. Let's say you're in drive, you're in manual, and you go into park, right? So now you are in park, you know. Even that thing says you're in park. But you hear that little chime just now? What has happened is this. You press park. It doesn't have a mechanism to push the lever back. So you have to manually push it back to the right. It's not a big deal, but it is a difference I just wanted to note. Besides this gear selector, which I think is a nice touch, the Sport and Eco modes have been revamped. The new gearbox itself is really quite good. As far as I can tell, there's no juddering, there's no weird characteristics. Okay, the cats are leaving. My cats. It's not as fast as many Volkswagen and Ford gearboxes. You know, when it's shifting, it still feels like an automatic. The way it goes up and down the revs, you know, it holds and then it moves up. Yeah, it's not the fastest gearbox out there. A new addition actually is also, I don't know why I didn't show you this sooner. So in park, go back to home, HVAC, and really this is the only way you can do it besides telling the Proton unit, hi Proton, you know,
coming.
Turn on seat ventilation.
Okay, turn on seat ventilation for driver's side.
This is what I wanted to show you. So you can use your voice command. Okay, shut up now. Go away, please. That little button there turns on seat ventilation for front passenger and the driver. So what happens is there's like a little cooling system down here. It shoots cold air into this seat bottom. So now this is actually getting cooler. I mean, I can feel my rear end getting cooler as well. Those functions are not down here. Oh yes, the new logo is on the horn pad as well. And the logo projected on the floor is the new logo as well. So those are the main differences between the X70 from China and the X70 from Tanjung Malim. Besides that, the suspension was tuned a little bit more for less body roll. The right-hand drive conversion, there were some improvements that they made behind the scenes. I'm sure there are a lot of little tiny behind the scenes things that were tweaked, but as far as physical things that you can tell apart, there's only one other thing, or should I say two other things that are different, and those are the two color changes. So there's a new grey called Space Grey, yeah, like an Apple product, and there's a new red called Ruby Red. So before this, because the cars were made in Geely's plant, they used, I think, Geely colors like flame red, and the red that they use here is now ruby red, and those are Proton colors, or at least Proton developed colors, and they don't exactly match the Geely colors, but they look good on the car anyway. So the disappointment we have is that, you know, the design team kept going on and on about how they wanted to strengthen Proton's brand identity in the locally assembled version, but nothing besides the grille has changed. All of this costs money, yes it does. Tooling the factory costs a lot of money. Trying to get localization of parts costs a lot of money. Bringing down their demerit score in the assembly line, that also costs a lot of money. So their concern was getting all the little things right so that they could produce a world-class car in Tanjung Malim. That was the priority. So they didn't want to focus too much on redesigning the car and retesting things and, you know, paying for new moldings. The way they put it was the initial moldings haven't paid for themselves because they had to restamp a few things for the Proton X70 initially, so they haven't recouped their cost yet. As Tanjung Malim and Proton get better at building this car, they will start to finally put in their own touches. So if I show you like the same Chinese elements that Peter Horbury talked about, you know, these motifs here, on the speaker grill, you know, hidden in that mute button, that little curl there. Up here, the microphone vent. Those are supposed to be Chinese motifs, but they didn't bother taking these away. Yeah, those are the... Hey, there's another cat. Hi, cat. Anyway, those are the main differences between this locally produced X70 and the CBU X70.